everyone and welcome back to my channel. So I'm here with part 2 of the series Upgrade Your Life in Next 6 Months. So in part 1 we talked about understanding your current reality and defining the next level version of you and your life. And today I'm going to help you bridge this gap between where you are at right now and where do you want to be in the next 6 months. And if you're new here, hello and welcome. My name is Chinpreet. I'm a professional life coach, content creator and entrepreneur, and on this channel we talk about personal transformation, self-mastery and living our best life. So let me give you a quick rundown of what we are going to cover here in this video today. So number 1, understanding the timeline and target for change. Number 2, creating an intimate connection with your goals. Number 3, how to take massive action and actually succeed. So if you're ready to change your life in next 6 months, let's get started. Okay, so first of all, please understand that whenever you're creating any sort of change, it takes time, and changing your life, upgrading your life, it's not actually a linear process. But I want to assure you that a lot can change in a span of 6 months. But I want you to give yourself a time window of 4 months, because we want to create some sort of self-induced pressure so that you can be pushed out of your comfort zone while giving yourself ample time to actually take action and create some sort of tangible change. Also, when you start something new, you may fail at certain things a couple of times. You may need to do a little bit of experimentation. You may need to change your system, strategy and all that stuff, and you may need to reframe your goals and your plans and all of those things. But if you actually start taking action, you can achieve a lot in 4 months, and you will still have that buffer of 2 months that can make up for the lost time in experimentation and readjusting, or just trying to get into new habits, new routines, trying to do things differently. But it only applies when you are actually taking action, because the reality is, whenever you are doing something new, whenever you're trying to create some sort of change or anything like that, you may need to make a lot of adjustments, and it takes time. Now the next thing that you need to do is to go back to the list of what do you want to do, what do you want to have, and what do you want to experience in the next 6 months. And I have talked about how to do all of this in depth in my last video in part 1 of this series. I'll link it up somewhere over here, so please check that out and come back to this. And if you haven't still made that list, then you need to do it right now, because that is actually the first step. If you do not have clarity on the direction that you are going, what you are actually creating for yourself, whether that's a goal or a change, you need to be super clear on that. Now once you have this list of what you want to do, have an experience in the next 6 months, I want you to look at that list very carefully and list down your top 3 goals that you want to achieve in the next 6 months. And let me just clarify this for you. If you're looking for some sort of change or upgrade or shift, you have to put it in form of goals, something that is tangible, something that can actually be measured in some shape or form. And even if you have goals like being mentally and emotionally stronger at things like that, make sure you set some sort of parameter for that. Maybe let's say you are tracking your mood every single day, and you are giving yourself a score of 1 to 5, and by the end of each month or by the end of 4 months, you want that average score to be 4 or 5 or something on those lines. So even if your goal or the change that you're wanting cannot be really expressed in numbers, like let's say business revenue for someone or an income goal for someone, make sure you have some sort of parameters, and they don't need to be complex, just simple parameters that you can measure, that you can track. So by the end of a month or 4 months or 6 months, you can actually see that whether you have made progress or not. So the overall time window is 6 months for change, but when we're talking about the top 3 goals that we are setting based on the change we want to create or the upgrade we want to create in our lives, the timeline for those top 3 goals has to be 4 months. Okay, now let's talk about creating an intimate connection with your goals. What does it mean and why is it even important? So just because you want something, just because because you set your goals and you have set your mind on achieving something, it does not mean that your mind or your brain is 100% into it. For example, you have a fitness goal and you want to lose some pounds of weight, okay, and you know that to achieve that goal you will need to work out 5 times a week, and you may find it super difficult to stick through this new habit or workout routine or whatever that is. On the other hand, let's say you have a goal to finish a business project, or maybe you have this goal or target of like finishing a project or doing something at work. Let's say your next appraisal depends on that work project, okay. Now you're more likely to finish that project or to hit that goal. Why is that? Because most of us are mentally conditioned to prioritize work goals, to prioritize money, to prioritize career somehow. Many of us see our worth in the money we make or the position we have at our workplace or among our peers and things like that, rather than how we feel about ourselves mentally or emotionally or on a spiritual level. Similarly, if you have set any personal goals in the past and you have failed at achieving them, most likely it's because you prioritize something else consciously or subconsciously. Most people don't know that having low self-worth or having a low sense of self-love can also cause you to prioritize your work, relationship or career goals over your own well-being or over your own personal goals, something that's related to your own personal success and happiness and fulfillment. Or it could be vice versa. I have seen people who fail to prioritize their career goals or business goals because of the fears and insecurities they have about their relationships and family and things like that. Because understand this, we have different seasons of our lives, and each season we have something different we want to prioritize. Something it's a relationship, sometimes it's our business, but most of the times we are not really focusing on the right thing consciously or subconsciously. If you are not achieving your goals, that means somehow you are not either prioritizing that goal, again consciously or subconsciously, or that goal is not really meaningful to you somehow. So that's why it's really important to connect with your goals consciously on an everyday basis. So I will talk about that in just a second, and we will have specific exercise that you can do to connect with your goals. But the idea is that when you are connecting with your goals on an everyday basis, number one, it works as a conscious effort. It's like reminding your mind and training your mind to focus on your goals and focus on the right things and prioritize right things on an everyday basis, because admit that or not, we are super distracted. And number two, if there is a goal that you are trying to pursue and every day you are trying to connect with that goal, but it's still not happening, you're still not progressing, but if you are again very consciously connecting with that goal on an everyday basis, maybe after a month or 2 or 3 you will come to this realization that this goal might be something that you actually do not want to pursue. And all that subconscious conditioning may be stopping you from taking action, and you may be labeling as procrastination or you are not strong determined and things of that nature. And this is the first thing that people do when they fail at achieving their goals or sticking to new routines and habits. They just start blaming themselves without understanding the mechanism of our brain, the psychology behind it, and you don't really have to go too deep into that. These are just the basics that you need to really understand about how your brain works, how your mind works, okay? So that is why it's really very important first to pick the right goals, and that's why we did that exercise in the last video. And the entire video was dedicated to getting clarity on what you want, what it looks like, and just defining that very clearly, and then picking goals based on that, like what you want to do, have experience and all that. And second, connect to your goals on a daily basis, and the simplest way to do that is to align your daily to-do to your goals on a daily basis. There is a very subtle difference in the way you connect with your goals and you plan your daily to do, but this is what creates the biggest difference, and I'm just going to talk about that in a second in the next part of the video. Understand this, that just because you have set certain goals and you have an action plan, it does not actually mean that your brain, your mind, and emotionally and mentally you are all into it. Okay, you have to train your mind, you have to connect with that goal so that taking action becomes naturally a lot more easier. Yes, when you're doing something new, you will still have to train your brain, your mind will take some time to get used to the new routines, new habits, new approaches, new style of working or whatnot. But also when your brain, your mind really understands why you are doing certain things, okay, and how you are actually doing it, where is it taking you, taking action becomes a lot more easier. So just stop talking negatively to yourself and understand the psychology and the mechanism behind it. Now let's talk about how to take massive action and actually succeed. So you have already understood the change that you want by the end of next 6 months. You have already set your top 3 goals that you want to achieve by the end of 4 months. Okay, now for each of those 4 months you are going to do this exercise. Okay, so just look at those top 3 goals and ask yourself, what are 5 mini goals that you can achieve this month to move closer to those top 3 goals, to actually achieve those top 3 goals. Now depending on your goals, your action steps may be straightforward or they may have many layers or aspects to it. Okay, whether it's a personal goal or whether it's a professional goal or just a combination of those two. Okay, so here is an optional step that you can do, and if you are just starting out or if you find it confusing, then you can totally skip it, because this is something I also struggled with. Okay, so just keep this in mind. Try to do this if you think that your action steps leading to that goal are like too complex or like too detail oriented. So again, we don't want to go too much into the details right now. Okay, but what you need to do is do those 5 mini goals that you have set for this month that are contributing to those top 3 goals for the next 4 months. What you need to do is just write down every possible thing that you may need to do, that you can think of to reach each of those 5 mini goals. And as you're planning your month, an additional step that you can do is to, once you have written all the things that you need to reach that mini goal, what you can do is, for the entire month, you can just split those tasks among 4 weeks. Again, I don't want you to get lost in the details and get too much stuck in your head when planning. So again, if your goals are, let's say, some business related goals or some complex work goals or things of that nature, and if it has like many moving parts and many layers and aspects to it, you might want to do it. And even in that case, if you find it confusing, you can totally skip it. Okay, and you can directly move to the next step, which is the daily planning, and that is actually the key, and we will talk about that in just a second. But just keep this in mind, that do not get lost in the details. This is just to have a general idea. The actual planning happens on a more weekly and daily basis. Okay, so now let's talk about how your daily planning is the key and what is the difference that I'm talking about. Okay, so again, I know people do monthly planning, weekly planning, to-do list and all that stuff, but understand this, the whole idea behind upgrading your life or creating a change in your life is centered around, number one, understanding where do you want to be and what goals you need to achieve to reach to that point, and aligning your daily actions to those goals every single day, so that every single day on the top of your mind, you know what I'm working towards, you know how I'm reaching there, and you are naturally taking action. It does not mean that you will not have to push yourself through taking action and doing the hard stuff and getting out of your comfort zone. You will have to do that, but the biggest obstacle that we come across but we don't really understand is that we are way too distracted then we can actually understand. So the first thing that you will need to do is to block out at least 30 to 45 minutes of your time every single day to revisit your goals, to create your daily plan, to just think where you need to make a shift or change. And I know it may sound absurd to many people. I have people telling me that I can just set up my to-do list in 5 to 10 minutes and 15 minutes, and if you can do that, hats off to you. Okay, kudos to you. I cannot really do that. Maybe some days I can, but most days I cannot. Again, how much time it takes for you to plan your day depends a whole lot on the kind of goal you're pursuing and the kind of change that you're pursuing. So right now, for me personally, like, I have some big business goals, I have some big personal goals, and there are so many moving parts, so many things that I need to do. So and there are so many changes that I'm making very, very frequently. Again, it depends on the nature of your goals. Okay, maybe you are doing something new, so it may require a lot of planning and replanning and redoing and readjusting or just pivoting your approach or whatnot. Okay, so the time it takes to plan your day may vary from one person to another, but I would still highly recommend to set aside at least 30 minutes of your day, and preferably, like, really you should be doing it in the morning, and first thing in the morning. So let's get into how you are actually going to plan your day and connect with your goals on an everyday basis. So every single day, the first thing that you're going to do is to write your top 5 mini goals for the month. Against each goal, you will write what you are doing that particular day to move the needle towards that goal, to move forward towards that goal. And since you have 5 goals and our days look different and all that stuff, so you may choose to work upon 1 or 2 goals each day, or maybe you're working on 3 of them, 4 of them, or maybe you are doing a little something for each of those goals. Again, it will totally depend on the nature of your goals. This is the part that most people find challenging. They may think that it's a waste of time, or they will not just feel like doing it, and that is what creates the difference. I highly recommend just try this for 1 month and see the difference it makes in your overall progress, your life, and the way you are working towards your goals. Okay, so at the end of the week, you can check that what are the goals that you have worked towards and what are the goals you haven't even touched. Okay, and I know that maybe, again, depending upon the nature of the work, nature of the goal, and how you're progressing towards it, you may find that maybe you have been working towards 2 particular goals for 2 weeks, and you might not have touched the other 2 or the 3 like that. Okay, but maybe moving to the 3rd week of the month, you start catching up with the remaining of the goals and all that. Okay, but at the end of each month, if you see that there's a particular goal or 2 that you haven't really touched upon, it will give you a very, very fair idea of why is that so. Is that a goal that you don't want to pursue? Is that a goal that is not actually contributing towards those top 3 goals, or not actually contributing towards the big change or the big upgrade that you're looking for in the next 6 months, right? Or maybe you just could not figure out how to do it, or maybe there are certain challenges, but either way, you will actually know, like 99.9% by the end of the month, that among those 5 mini goals that you have set up, what were the goals that you actually wanted to work towards and why you did not pursue a certain goal. I must tell you that every single day when you write those 5 goals, every single day when you force yourself to write a to-do against each of that goal, it just creates a different kind of mental and emotional reaction. And don't go by my word, you have to try this for yourself to actually see how your brain responds. And initially you may feel very, very uncomfortable doing that. And also, I want to tell you one thing, this is also something that I'm doing. Like, I have a particular goal that I haven't touched upon for weeks. So while I'm writing my daily plan, and I'm either unable to write my to do for that goal, or maybe I'm not writing anything about it. I thought for a moment that maybe this goal is not important for me. Okay, so your mind may try to talk you out of pursuing that goal, right? So don't give up that easily. At least give yourself a month, an entire month, to see whether you feel working towards a goal or not, or whether you are working towards a goal or not. Okay, and at the end of each month you can take like some extra time to really think about, really reflect upon like why you did not work upon it. And again, that's a huge topic we will be talking about later. This is how you essentially connect with your goals, and you know the action steps as well. This is the most natural and the easiest way to take action towards your goal and make sure that you don't lose track. But again, there are so many things that go into setting a goal, reaching a goal, creating a change, but this is like the basic. This is like the basic. If you are not doing this, that I don't think you will be able to go too far. You have your daily plan, you have your daily to do, and the next step is to just to take action. And also you can go one step further if you want to, but again, I don't want you to make it like super complex, so make it as easy as possible for you. But again, depending upon the nature of your goals and the task associated with it, you may also want to split your day into different time blocks for certain action items that you want to do, or certain tasks that you want to get accomplished. Like you have 3 tasks in you to do or 5 tasks in you to do, you can just like split them up throughout the day. Okay, like morning I can do this, afternoon I can do this, evening I can do this, and all that stuff. So at least give yourself a rough estimate of, give yourself some sort of time block, that so that you know that these things need to be done during this time. If you are someone who cannot really work by the clock, I think most people cannot, but and assigning a time block to a certain task or group of tasks is much more easier, doable, and flexible. So again, it's an optional step, but this is the basic thing that you need to do on a daily basis. Doing it daily is the magic. When you are doing your daily planning, it brings back your focus on doing what is important and figuring out the problem, the challenges, so that you know what you need to work upon, so that you know where you need to create a change, so that you know where you need help, and all of those things. And there is one more thing that you need to keep in mind when you are setting those 5 mini goals for the month. Okay, make sure that among those 5 mini goals, there are at least 1 or 2 goals in that helps you work on your mental, physical, and overall well-being. Why? Because if you're pursuing some big goals, if you are trying to create some sort of big change in your life, what that essentially means is you are required to step into a next level version of yourself. You are required to do things differently. Maybe you need to have more mental peace. Maybe you need to have more control over your temper, your emotions, how you respond, and all of those things. Maybe you need more energy, more stamina. And like, even if you don't have any specific goals related to your mental, emotional, physical, spiritual health, when it comes to creating big changes in your life, these are the things. Like, you need you to do the work, you need you to take action, you need you to make changes. So when it comes to your mental and emotional and physical well-being, do not just think about them in terms of those healthy habits that people talk about, that you should be waking up early, you should be doing this, you should be doing self-care, all of that stuff. No, actually make it some sort of goal. So among those 5 mini goals, if you really want to succeed, make sure among those 5 mini goals you have at least 1 to 2 goals that are just dedicated to your own personal growth in some shape or form. And if you just keep doing all these things for the next 6 months, I assure you that you will see a huge difference in your life. So now we have talked about getting clarity on your goals and how to take action, all that stuff. Now in the next video in this series, the last part of this series, I will talk about all the things that you need to keep in mind, all the things that will help you take action. Because even if you are doing your daily planning, even if you have clarity on your goals and all of those things, you will still find mental blocks, you will still find emotional blocks there. You might find different challenges because of course you're trying something new, you're trying to create change, and it is like difficult, it's uncomfortable. So in the next video I'm going to talk all about that to make sure that you can actually create some sort of positive change. So make sure you're subscribed and turn your notifications on, and I'll see you in the next video. Sending you love, light and good vibes. Bye bye.